If you simply want to take an object and resize it, make it smaller, bigger, rotate it, move it to a different part of the artboard, the selection tool is great. The file I have open is called Direct Selection, and you'll find it in the Chapter 3 folder of the project files. And that's what I have here, and this is no big deal at this point, moving an object around or resizing it, making it smaller, making it bigger, getting the rotation handle. So that part is all well and good. I'm just going to press Control-Z or Command-Z on the Mac to undo. If you want to modify the shape itself, the regular selection tool won't do it. You need to use the direct selection tool, which is this white arrow right next to it. And you can see that the shortcut, the keyboard shortcut, is A. So let's say I want to take maybe this part of the flower, this leaf, and I want to make it a little taller. Now if I click anywhere on this object, you can see all of the anchor points on here. But with the regular selection tool, you can't edit an individual one. You can move the object around if you grab one, but that's about it. So the direct selection tool to the rescue. Click it, and here's where it may not work exactly the way you expect. When you simply click the direct selection tool, when you have an object selected, you still have all of these anchor points kind of selected. So if you say, oh, okay, I want to take this one and give it a yank, look what happens. You end up moving the whole thing. I'm just going to undo. There's a couple of ways that you can deal with this. Number one is click the anchor point itself that you want. And you see my mouse pointer is right on it, and you can see the little help tooltip that's coming up says anchor. So I click it once, and now just that is selected, and now when I drag, I can drag just that individual one. And I said there was another way to do it, so again I'm going to undo once, twice maybe, is when you have the direct selection tool, you can click off the shape, click on the empty background, and then click on the edge, click right there, whether it's stroked or not doesn't matter, click on the edge, and now you have just the anchor points that are in the neighborhood of your mouse pointer, and now you can start pulling it around. Again, let me undo. When you have the direct selection tool active and you are clicked on either an anchor point or part of the path where anchor points are, you can see up here the control bar has changed, and now you have some items here that are specific to the direct selection tool. Now I want to make this a little easier for you to see, so I'm going to zoom in on this area here, and I'm just going to press Control plus or Command plus on the Mac. Let me grab the space bar and drag here a little bit. However you want to zoom in and move around is quite alright. Now I'm going to take, let's say, this one here. See, when I move my mouse pointer on it, it gets highlighted, and I click, and I can see a few things are happening. I can see that the anchor point is selected, and these two control handles are now selected. And I can pull one of these handles. You see, when your mouse pointer goes over the handle, you get the little pop-up that tells you handle, so you know what you've got. And now I can drag this out. Right, so here's a Bezier curve, and I'll take this other handle, and I will drag it out. So now I've kind of changed that leaf a little bit. Now, what if your goal is simply to make this leaf taller and not flatten it out? Let's undo a couple of times there. And you can marquee select multiple anchor points. So again, I'm just going to click on the background so nothing's selected. And I'll put my mouse pointer right about there, and I'm just going to drag to about there. It doesn't have to be exact. So now I have several of them selected. And now I can put my mouse pointer on any one of these anchor points and drag up. And now I've elongated it because I have all of those moving together. So when you have multiple anchor points selected, do you want to see all of the handles or do you not? Well, by default, you see I have these two buttons. By default, this button here on the right is selected, and that's hide handles for multiple points. So if you select this leaf, kind of like that, you'll see a couple of handles, but not all of them. If you click this button here, now you'll see all of the handles for all of those anchor points. And Illustrator works the same way. It's just kind of personal preference. Do you want to see them or not? And since you see them, of course, there's always the temptation to grab them. Now you have to put your mouse pointer right on it there to move them around. Illustrator doesn't really give you a lot of extra space to grab them. Let's just try this with one or two more leaves. I'm going to marquee select this leaf here. So now I have a bunch selected. And those are getting in my way, so I'm going to click this button here to hide them. And I'm going to put my mouse pointer on the tip, and I'm going to drag out. And I'll do the same with this leaf over here. I'm going to select a bunch. Now you might be wondering, well, how do you know what anchor points you're selecting, what you're not? The answer is I don't. I really won't know unless I click. If I click the path, I can see some of them, or if I marquee select a lot, or if I use the selection tool, I can see where they are. But I just have a rough idea of where these are, so that's why I'm not worrying about it too much. So again, I have these selected, and I'll put my mouse pointer on that tip, and I can drag that out. So that way, if you have a shape that's just too symmetrical, you can sort of warp it a little bit so it has more of a hand-drawn look. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to press Control-0, Command-0 on the Mac, and let's make a custom starburst. We'll do that in the space over here. So click and hold on the rectangle tool, and from the flyout, second to the bottom tool is the star tool. And I'm just going to start maybe roughly here in the middle, and I'm going to start dragging out. Now this is giving me a 5-pointed star. I want more points. So with my finger down on the mouse button, I'm going to tap the up arrow a bunch of times until I have a whole lot of these, not any number in particular. And I think that's good, just the way it is. Now, because I had this flower shape selected, that gave me green fill and no stroke. If you want to change to a different fill, that's okay. But for this part of the exercise, it's probably best not to apply a stroke, or at least not until you're done. So what I want to do is, this is just way too even. I want to pull some of these out a little bit. Get the direct selection tool. Again, click off it, select, and now I can pull, or without marquee selecting, I can just click, and now I can pull individual points inwards or outwards to give this kind of a custom look. So if you have maybe, if you're doing an ad for some soap and you want to show, hey, this is new and improved, you can really get a custom look without it looking like, oh, hey, I just grabbed a symbol from somewhere and I used it. And of course, you can grab any of these points, not just the ones on the tip. You could grab these here in the middle and pull these out, pull them in any direction that you want. Or if you're inclined, you can even warp some of these to one side or another. Whichever way you can drag them, whichever way you want to drag them, you can feel free. It's really just up to you. It gives you a lot of flexibility there. So if you want to take a little bit of time and grab any of the shapes that are here, or draw some of your own, you can really get a sense of how the direct selection tool works, how the anchor points work, and that way you can really draw just about anything you want. And this is really just the beginning. I have some more sophisticated techniques for you coming right up.